Today, or tonight actually, it's nighttime, I'm going to be changing the rear struts on this E46 convertible. You got a convertible, it's a pretty simple job to do. And I'm changing them because while I'm riding around, I'm getting like some noises from the back, little creaks and pops. And this car is sitting a little lower in the back than it's supposed to be. So I think it's the struts. I don't know where those struts came from. I used to have a third E46 and I believe I may have took them off the other car before I got rid of that one. So those might be old, and I really don't know. I don't keep good track of what I put on what car. I know I put all my good stuff on the one back there, but this car's sitting a little lower than that one, so time to change those out. I got Bilstein B4s on all the corners of all my E46s, and they have raised their prices freaking $25 per strut since the last time I bought them. So this time, I'm trying out this A Premium. If it focuses. I got these. If I was to buy a pair of Bilstein B4s, they would cost me $150 for a pair. These cost me $50 for a pair. So I'm going to see how these work out. If they look like they built the same, they look exactly identical to the Bilstein, so I'm going to try them out. And if they no good, then I'll let y'all know. But that's what I'm going to try out this time. Saved $100 by going with this brand. But with that said, I don't know why people want to take the old mounts off their old struts and reuse them. This costs $16. Just buy new ones. Got new dust caps, like $8. New bump stops, that's like $9. So it's going to be all new going into the rear of this car. I'm going to show y'all how. First, I'm going to get the car up in the air and get the wheels off. So got it on my lift right there. I'm going to get them wheels off and I'm going to show y'all how to change these struts. So the car's up in the air. I got the tires off. I got a blanket on the ground for me to lay on. I got a light down here so you can see, so we can get cozy now. Right here is your strut. And it is just held on by an 18mm bolt right here. Goes straight through. And the top, let's show you that. The top is mounted under here on a convertible. So I got to get this lid open. So let me move the roof and y'all be able to see the top. So get the roof into this position. Just use this lid to hold up the roof itself right there. And the top bolts of your struts are right here under these rubber grommets. Right down there. I'm gonna have to get a light in here so y'all can see. It's right there. So I'll put the light across there so you can see the nut down there. There it is. And those two nuts are held in there by a 13mm. Of course, I'm not going to be able to focus on that, but if you reach down there with a 13mm, you can take that apart. But before you do, you're going to want to put something under here to support the weight, because as soon as you undo those two nuts up top, this is all going to want to drop down. So my jack over there sucks. It's a Harbor Freight jack. So I just put a jack stand right here. It's going to hold it. It's going to drop and hit the jack stand. That'll hold it in place. So let's take those two nuts off the top. Undoing those nuts, also keeping a magnet close by so I can reach down there and get the nut. Otherwise it'd fall in there, might get lost. So keep a magnet close by you can reach down and grab it with. Well, that wasn't fun. While taking that second nut off in there, the bolt kept spinning. So I had to get a pair of channel locks and lock it onto the bolt so that I can get the nut off. Look, it's just falling out. But it dropped down and it's now sitting on my jack stand. So all I got to do now is remove this 18mm back here and I'll be able to take that whole strut out. Let me do that real quick. Bolt out. Now I can remove the strut. And there it is. Let's go back to the workbench. So here's my old strut next to my new strut. Let's take a good look at them. I remember my Bilsteins having a square spot on them. I don't know why this one doesn't. I don't know. It's been a while since I changed struts, but they look a lot alike. I got all the old stuff here. Let's get this one built and we'll see how they look compared to each other next to each other. So I got my new strut put together. And the first thing I'm noticing, I've got them lined up. The A Premium one is about 7/8 of an inch shorter than the Bilstein. So this is shorter. So is my car gonna sit lower? Maybe. While we're here, if you want to change your springs, I already did. I got these H&R springs on here. All you got to do is take a pry bar and press on this, pull down on it, and you'll be able to pull a spring right out, and you can put a new spring back in. So that's really simple. Let's go ahead and put this strut back in the same way I took it out. So 18mm nut goes in the bottom, you put it through this side first, and then your two nuts on the top. Just jam it in there, same way you took it apart. I know I can't do this with one hand, but let me try it. This is just going to go right up in there. And the 18mm bolt is going to go through there. No, I cannot do this with one hand. I'm going to take and hold my strut in place, put the 18mm bolt right here, and right back into the hole where it goes. And once I tighten this up, I'm going to have to use my terrible jack to push. There's my jack over here. I have to take my jack and push up on this to hold that in place so I can put the bolts in the top. So I got the bolt in, and I got my jack under here so I can push it up into place. The thing with this jack is, it doesn't stay up, it constantly falls. So I gotta go be quick about putting it in the top. Getting the nuts in the top can be tricky, so I like to put a little piece of tape right there, and it holds the nut in there. So now it won't fall out, and I can hold this still and screw it onto the top mount. But my jack is falling, so I gotta jack that back up and go work about this quick. Let me do that real fast. I got a piece of tape in there holding the nut in place, and if I keep a little pressure on the jack with the other hand, I can hold it up long enough to get this started. Alright, that was a lot harder than it's going to look after I finish editing this because the jack kept falling while I was trying to get the nuts on. But once everything's all tightened up, got the two nuts back in there, just put these little covers back on, and as long as the top is tightened and your 18mm down here is tightened, you are done. New struts. Simple job. I'm going to go do the other side now. That's done. I'm going to go do the other side of the car. And y'all don't need to watch me do it twice. So that's how you change the struts on the E46 convertible. So I went ahead and I knocked out the other side. Since I wasn't filming, I could take care of that pretty quick. Filming adds a lot of time. I could have been done a long time ago if I wasn't filming this. But the wheels are back on the car. The roof is back closed up. But something I didn't take pictures of or film before I started was how low the car was sitting. Now that I got these different struts on there, here's the old struts, and they are the same length. You'll notice I showed you the new struts were about 7/8 of an inch shorter. But when I slid my finger in the car right here, my finger was touching right above that line on this side of the car. And if you didn't know, your passenger side of your car sits lower than your driver's side. All three of my E46s were like that. Your car is too. Passenger side's lower. If I slid my finger in right here touching, it was right below that line. I could almost show you on this car. Different wheels on this car. But if I slide my finger touching there, you can kind of make out where my finger is hitting. Right there in the extreme contact. Come to this side and slide my finger in. It's above it. So, with the new struts on, I'm going to lower the car now. I'm going to get the quick jacks out from underneath it and we'll see where the car sits. I know it's going to settle over time, but kind of have a comparison if it's lower than the other ones were. So let me get these jack stands out. Car is on the ground. And the wheels are clearly higher. I could almost touch the top of the treads right there. Over here, it's still pretty high. I mean, I know it's going to settle over time, but it is definitely higher than it was before. I think the other struts were bad as it was, but these were smaller. Let me drive this car around to my other garage. I'm going to put this where I normally park it on the other side of the house, and maybe it'll settle a little between here and there. So I got my car back in its normal parking spot. It's been a little bit. I drove it around the corner. I also drove it kind of fast in reverse and slammed on the brakes to put a little weight on the back end. And the car did settle a little bit. I mean, it was sitting high before, but it was sitting lower before I changed my struts because I think they were blown. Now if I put my finger in, it's touching right above that line. And on the other side of the car, it's pretty much touching the line. If I go right in, it's touching that line. So, that's good. I was worried that it would sit a little low because these struts were shorter than the other ones. But struts are changed. That means the old struts were bad. I drove it around. I didn't get any weird noises this time. So that's all. That's an easy job to do if you got a convertible. Change the struts. That's it. I'm done. I don't know what I'm gonna do next. I got a lot of other stuff to work on this car particularly, but I don't know what the next thing's gonna be. But I'm done now. So do yours.